Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show. This is the January 16th edition of the B. Andrews Radio Show. Show number 48. Can we get a round of applause? Hey! Please tell me you have that on effects, right?
We'll see.
Okay. All right. It's so good to have you with us here on this beautiful sunny Tuesday in central Wisconsin on January 16th. I am one of your hosts because I am one of the members of the B. Andrews Band. I am Eric. And over on the other side is the other co-host, the hostess Maximus, John. It's so good to have you. Say hi, John.
Hi.
And it's going to feel so bad. It's just the two of us in studio today.
It is. It's kind of lonely.
It's very lonely. We have this microphone that's still up in the studio, and there's no one by it. It's such a lonely microphone.
Chris and David.
But we have our listening audience, and they are with us today. It is so good having you.
In spirit. I can feel it.
That's right. They're there. They're listening, and it's a privilege. It's an honor to bring you this radio show from this non-politic talking zone. And I'll tell you what, wow, am I so glad we are a politics no talking zone. There's just a lot of junk going on out there right now. Just a lot of junk.
A lot of mugwumpery.
Say that word again.
Mugwumpery?
That's a real word.
It is. You'll have to go look it up.
Did you just give me
so
homework?
So much fun to say. Mugwump. Someone who practices mugwumpery is a mugwump.
Okay.
So much fun. I love
I'll have to take your word for it.
Little mugwump.
That will not come out of my mouth.
Whoa.
Anyway, on this wonderful day in central Wisconsin, it is a blustery 8 degrees outside. Over the past 2 days, we've gotten, you've done a lot of snow shoveling. How much would you say we've gotten over the past 2 days?
3.5, 4 inches.
3.5, 4 inches? Oh, that's nothing.
Until you move that 3.5, 4 inches on top of the 3.5, 4 inches that was already there, and then you have 8 inches.
Oh.
7.5 to 8.
I gotcha. All right. So your math is doing okay. Anyway, so we got the snow that's going on out there, and so we're starting for the first time getting our piles of snow. We've had just little dustings of snow up till now here in central Wisconsin. Inch here, half an inch there, another half inch, maybe another inch, and then we hit for a little over a week some sub-zero temperatures. We were waking up, this is when David was with us there right at the first of the year, we were waking up to a negative 16 and 18 below zero.
Okay, so he's from Florida, right?
Right.
Okay, so I don't know what happened, but one of the nights he was crashing here at my house, and I don't know what happened, but woke up and even I was cold in the middle of the night, and I went and checked the thermostat. It had dropped to 50 degrees.
In the house?
In my house.
Okay.
He was dying. I'm like, I'm so sorry, dude.
Oh, poor Florida boy.
Like, I was so cold. I'm like, dude, I was cold. I was like shivering and stuff. That's how I got out, because when I went to bed, it was just fine. So, I didn't like cover all up and everything. And so I'm really sorry, David. I wasn't trying to make an icicle out of it.
But it was 50. It's not like it was 30, 20, 10, 12 below. I mean, because we have been.
Yeah, but that's like, okay, so you like dress at, what did I have the house set at? 65, 70 degrees. Well, 62 to 70 degrees, something like that.
You're going to have a hard time.
When you go to bed, and then when you and so you're not dressed for it, and you're not covered up for it, and then it drops to like 50, and you're like,
you're still going to have a hard time. 50 degrees. I mean, come on. You can survive 50 degrees.
I mean, you can. But it is kind of chilly.
One of my friends here in central Wisconsin took a picture a couple of mornings ago, and it was -8, I think, on that morning. And she took a picture. It's one of our very, very dear band friends. Let's just give a shout out to Miss Sally. Everybody say hi, Miss Sally.
Hey!
And so she put it out there, and she goes, "What a beautiful, chilly morning." And I couldn't help it, so I had to write on her timeline. I had to say, there are folks that believe that 30 and 40 degrees is chilly. It's -8 outside. Okay, That's not chilly. That's cold. It's cold. All right. So anyway, so way to go, Miss Sally. Really, really appreciate that. I just dropped all my notes off of the side of my table. Anyway, so as we're moving along, that's the kind of weather that we were experiencing right here in central Wisconsin. And but you know what? Having a good time. The sun came out today. On days like this, you can really feel the sun's rays when they kiss you on the cheek today.
It's a very light kiss.
But it's real. It's a real one. You can tell.
Just a smooch. Just a peck.
It's just a peck.
Like you're kissing your sister.
But you can feel it. You can feel it, and it's really, really cool. So we appreciate that. That is a gift from God. It really, really is. So, we've been talking about some things that are going on round about us. This becomes that time of the year where B. Andrews is incredibly busy. We've just moved out of the Christmas season. We're getting ready to head towards Lent. So we're all involved in church work. That just really creates a lot of church work, which, by the way, for those of you that celebrate Lent, it starts on Wednesday, February 14th. Does anybody know what else day that is?
Valentine's Day.
That is Valentine's Day. Yay! Woo! Way good for you. You have won the prize. Ding, 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 ding. And the last Easter Sunday happens to be on April 1st. Does anybody know what day that is?
Jesus' birthday?
April Fool's Day. Easter's on April Fool's Day this year.
It's Jesus' second birthday.
No, that would be his resurrection, but April Fool's Day is what I'm trying to get across. So,
I don't know. I think I can have you theologically that it's Jesus' second birthday.
However that
goes, he's the firstborn of many.
He's the firstborn of many.
Boom!
Yes,
breaking out my Corinthians.
Yeah, all right.
I read that.
And
book.
in this season, let me get back to my premise. And in this season, there's one other major thing that we do as a fundraiser for the band, and that is called the B. Andrews Radio Dinner Theater,
or
BRDT for short.
Boom.
And that will be on Saturday, February 17th, which is the Saturday following Valentine's Day, which over the past several years is what we've decided to do, is always to have it after the Saturday after Valentine's Day, and that's how we've been setting it. So that will be February 17th this year. If you're in the Hancock area and really like to see a very interesting show, we totally invite you to come out to the B. Andrews Radio Dinner Theater. It is a mock radio show. What it looks like is if you were to go to like one of those radio shows where there was Bing Crosby or Bob Hope or one of those kinds of things, and they were broadcasting live, and maybe do a dinner at the same time.
Way back in the day.
Way back in the day, or if you were to have Costello, an Abbott and Costello kind of thing going on with the Colgate Hour, or a Burns and Allen, and with it was Carnation Milk. That was their producer,
or Jack Benny.
Do you know who sponsored the Jack Benny show?
Lucky Strike.
That was later, not the original.
Maxwell?
Nope.
Maxwell originally did Burns and Allen. Back on the radio, it was Maxwell.
The Maxwell House did Burns and Allen? Oh, that's right. That
and
was
you know
one
who their
of
music
sponsors.
guy was, right? Meredith Andrews.
Meredith Andrews wrote The Music Man.
He was their music guy, and he was on their show too back on the.
Oh wow!
Way back on.
Okay, there you
radio.
go. Let's see how things are really connected. No, Jack Benny, his original sponsor was JELLO. Jello.
Oh, Jello! I wasn't sure what you were spelling there.
Jello brand gelatin, and that was. I
there.
had no idea. I mean, I realized how basic Jello is, but I didn't know it went back that far. So that was the original sponsor. Anyway, our show has no such sponsor because it is a mock radio show. And the whole idea is you come in, and we will do old-time radio skits, and we'll surround it with music, but preluding it is a beautiful spaghetti dinner. fresh salad to go along with that, dessert to follow. It's absolutely a wonderful night, and we have an awesome surprise this year. We're introducing a special guest.
Whoa.
That's right. It will be, the time period and everything that's going on, we will have the Tri-County Jazz Band will be actually playing for dinner. So we will have a live jazz band will be there to help set the mood for the evening. So really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Mark your calendars. If you like that kind of thing, it'll be a real throwback to yesteryear, a great evening, a lot of fun, tickle your funny bone, and some great food to go along with it. Suggest a donation. We have to do that because of the performance things that we'll be doing. We're not really allowed to charge an admission fee, so suggested donation is $15, but it is a donation, so do your best. Now, I want to put this word out for our fellow ministers, and that is from us to you. It's Valentine's Day. This is a ministry. If you come in and you're a minister, we want you to just be our guest. Come on in, bring your spouse
sweetie.
Yeah, bring your sweetie on in and just have a good evening. That's what we want you to do. It's on us. It's right around the Valentine's Day, and guess what? Husbands and wives need a little time, need a little fun, so this is a dinner and a show just for you. We end up writing our own lines for the commercials. We write our own lines for commercials, and then some of the other things that are done during that evening. So really looking forward to it.
It'll be a lot of fun. A
lot of fun. Now, I need to change gears. Do you have a sound effect for changing gears? Maybe a crashing car, something like that. Can you do it for me? All right, there it is. So changing gears, smashing cars, whatever it is that we're doing. Wanted to just run this past you today and talk about, because this has come up in conversations several times over the past couple of weeks, and that is a perfect church.
Ooh, I want one of those.
Lots of people would like to have a perfect church or attend a perfect church or go to a perfect church. So how do you find the perfect church? I don't know. I don't know. But what I did, I went in and I did some research, and I found some problems that keep churches from being perfect churches.
Okay.
Yeah. And these are common problems. These are what people say. I hope everybody hears my tongue being firmly in my cheek as I'm saying this. Yeah. My tongue's in my cheek.
That sounds better.
Okay. But these are the complaints that people say, these are the problems with churches and why. This is just the problems. I mean, this is why this church is not a perfect church. All right. So problem number one, it's the hypocrites. That church over there is filled with hypocrites. The biggest hypocrite in town sits on the front pew, which is a lie because nobody sits on the front pew
ever. Ever.
No church I've ever been in anyway.
Well, first off, it'd be hard to see the preacher sometimes. If he comes walking off the pulpit, you'd be looking like your neck would be all craned to the side over your shoulder. And
wait a minute. You're talking about me, because there are times I get going. I get my southern preach on, and I just can't stand behind the pulpit.
That's what my fiance said, by the way.
Oh, what?
Oh, that she's like, man, your dad gets fired up. It's been a while since I heard some good, southern fired up preaching like that. It's like...
And she's in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, that's why she misses it.
Oh, okay.
She came up here and she's like, oh, man. And then she was like, you got all fired up.
Oh. What? You don't go wide to the right. Don't go wide to the left. What you want is straight down the middle. For those of you who haven't seen that movie,
yeah.
Facing the Giants.
See, we hid the snakes before she got there, so it was okay.
Don't say that. Man, you just put that on the radio. I cannot believe you said that. We don't have snakes in our church, everybody. We're not that kind of Wesleyan church.
That kind?
All right. So, I mean, let me just legitimately say this. Hypocrites in the church. Well, I have to say it after break. Get yourself something to drink and come on back. We'll talk about hypocrites in the church.
You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show.
Just have to praise him when things aren't right. When your cares and worries are crowding around, try lifting him up when life gets you down. Well, I know you've been there, I've been there too. So you might as well admit that it gets to you. So when this old world is taking its toll, remember God prepaid, you're free to go. So here we
friends, this here's Reverend Barton Sharp coming to you from Reverend Barton Sharp's Tabernacle of Goodies down in Woolridge, Tennessee, branch store in Stankin Creek. My friends, you ever say to yourself, self, and you say, huh, because you talking to you, self, listen to me right now. What are we going to do? Well, I'll tell you right now what we're going to do. We're going to take an offering. That's what we're going to do. And here's my motto for an offering. Don't you cry. Don't you shout. Just turn them pockets inside out. How's that? Do you like that?
Whatever.
That is not original with me, by the way. Just want everybody to know. I can only do that so well because there was a DJ down in Cincinnati by the name of Gary Burbank, and that was one of his characters that he would do on radio. Was Barton Sharp, and he'd crack me up every time he'd come on with that. And you know what really got me is the first time I ever drove down I-75, entered into the Jellicoe Mountains, and like one of the first 5 exits through there is an exit to a place called Stinking Creek. And I'm like, oh no, it's a real place.
There's certain things you just can't make up.
No, certain things have to have some basis of reality. I get that. But now we were talking before the break, we were talking about the hypocrites at a church. And I just want to make this one point, and we need to move on rather quickly. And that is that, you know why there are hypocrites in the church? Because as God is changing us, there's a time that we were one way, and as we keep changing, we become another. And it's part of the process and the change. We're not the same. And so if you don't have some hypocrites in your church, in other words, we used to be one way, but now we're another. If you don't have something, you don't have people being changed in your church. Now, I realize what the complaint is about hypocrites in the church. Oh, they're just a hypocrite. They live this way, one way, and they live another. And that is a black eye on the church. It is a black eye on the church. But, you know, the good news is it means that your church is just full of sinners. That means you got something to work with, a goal to work towards.
And it's a good thing that they're here because they need it.
And it's a good thing we're here. We need it. Well, another thing that it would probably cause you not to be a perfect church is that the people, a complaint that has been heard is the people aren't friendly. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but they may say, oh, you know what? I don't like going to that church. I go in there and nobody wants to shake my hand. Well, you know, it would kind of help if you stuck around so that, you know, you just didn't go marching out and past everybody.
That's a
you know, but you do, and when you have that look on your face like, don't talk to me. I dare you. People don't want to dare you. What can I say? So, yeah, that's another way to be a very imperfect church. Another one is gossip. Now, here's the thing about this one. This one could happen in the church, but more times than not, it happens outside the church. So something goes on that didn't happen just right on Sunday morning. Like, little Jimmy comes in and he's got little Jimmy's got a flu bug. And so he throws up all over the carpet in his Sunday school classroom. And the Sunday school teacher's like trying to
little Jimmy.
maintain control and grabs little Jimmy by the back and goes running off to the bathroom. And I could just,
little Jimmy.
and I could just hear the people gasping, "No, Jimmy!" as things are spewing from him that cannot be contained. And then on Monday morning at the hairdresser's shop, did you see little Jimmy? And
That's not gossip at that point. Everybody saw it.
But
That's just commentary. Everybody already knows.
yes, but it's the spin on the commentary that I'm talking about. So we start wondering, she was just throwing him across the classroom. I mean, my goodness. Well, no, she
At that
wasn't.
point, he might have
but
been propelling himself.
yeah, he might have been.
No,
Anyway, that's gossip, and you pick up the telephone, and church people have a tendency to just share things with everybody because everybody needs to know.
Well,
We're on a need to know basis, and you look like you need to know.
I don't mean to gossip, but
And so when these kinds of things are practiced, you can honestly say that's gossip. And yes,
I wasn't gossiping. I was just sharing what was on my heart about you.
and it was all true from the heart. I mean, I was really feeling it.
That's how I really felt.
That's how I really felt. I mean, that's relative truth, by the way. And when these things happen,
You mean to say it's relatively true?
when these things happen, then we're letting people know we don't have a perfect church.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, and we have actually had this happen to us where others have come in and said, "Oh, look at that space that you have. We would like to use that space in your church, and this is what we want to do there." No, this is a church. You can't. No, you can't do that. If you want. There's the community center and there's other places, but you can't do. What? They wouldn't let me do what I wanted there at their church? Oh, I cannot believe those people. I mean, it's the community. It says right on it, community church, and I wanted to use it. Why wouldn't they let me do that there? Because we don't do animal sacrifices in the.
Because we don't have snakes at this church.
But to be honest with you, we have actually had that situation.
Not
where,
with the snakes.
Not with the snakes, but folks wanted to use the church and they wanted to do with it what they wanted to do with it. And when I suggested that probably wouldn't go well, I got really hammered for it. By people outside of the church, not people inside the church. And so just wanted to let you know, we're not a
perfect church.
We're not a perfect church.
We're not a perfect church.
We missed it. Another one is, I don't know, you go into that church, you know what they're always doing. They're always asking you for money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, the churches can't do anything without taking an offering.
We looked up a top 10 list of common church complaints, and that was one of them. They're always asking for
Actually,
money.
we looked at a couple of lists, and it was on a couple of lists.
They're always
In fact,
asking for money.
One author of the one list said, try changing churches and see if you still won't have this complaint, because churches take offerings. We don't do things for income. We take offerings. Churches work off of the benevolence of the people who attend. that's just the system. That's the way that it works. And I don't know. Is it that millennials don't know this, or I'm looking at you and asking you because you are one.
I'm a pastor's kid.
Okay, so you don't know about millennials.
Basically.
All right.
That's
so
kind of how that works.
You're denying your own generation? Is that
I
is
am
that what
my
I hear?
own generation.
Okay, that has connotations to it. Tell me, let me know in 5 years how that works for you. Anyway, so yeah, folks, that's just what's there. Also, well, this isn't the last, but we got one big one that's broken up into many categories, and I'm going to save that for last. So next to last is music. This is the one.
That's a big one for a lot of churches.
We've
talked about that on this show before.
Is this a traditional church? I mean, we need only piano and organ, and there are times you can cut out the piano. So, that said, and are you a moderately contemporary? I mean, where sometimes you use a classical guitar along with the piano? That's really good. Yo, dude, you guys rock it up in here? Come on, man. That's what I'm really after, Although a new kind of worship for John and I, we were playing in Vincennes, Indiana, and we got done with the concert, and we were talking with our host. He's like, "Hey, you guys got a place to stay?" We were like, "Well, we're going to sleep in the truck." And, "Oh, no, come over to my house." And he was a tremendous host, and we got over there, and he's like, I do a different kind of worship. I'm like, "Oh, well, really?"
First off, him and his wife were working as campus missionaries, basically, to what's the local college there?
Vincennes, Indiana. I can't think of what college is in Vincennes, but yes, the local college.
They were operating and doing that on the side to make a little extra money. He made ear gauges.
Yes.
That's just to kind of paint a picture of him a little bit.
He wore his own ear gauges.
And they were awesome. Like, he had imported woods and everything, like, to make these. But just to kind of paint a mental picture of this man.
Okay. And and his little girl was just born. He had a beautiful little daughter. Remember that? Anyway, and so moving right along. Yeah. No blank. You gave me blank airspace. I wasn't going to let.
I gave you a lot more than blank airspace. There's a blank look and everything.
That's what made me move along really quick. I'm like, it's not coming forth.
I remembered the ear gauges.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, he took us to the basement, showed us his wood shop for making it. Beautiful pieces of art as far as woodworking and so forth. And so he's like, yeah, well, we do different kind of worship in the church where I lead worship. And I'm like, oh, what do you do?
He did. What would we call it? Mightiest to Save was the one song
that he did for us.
It was Mighty to Save, but it was Mighty to Save meets Metallica. So
I was thinking Dreadnought. Not Dreadnought. Slipknot. I was thinking more Slipknot.
Dreadnought is an awesome name for a band, but I do not specifically know a band named Dreadnought.
I do not either. I'm talking about Slipknot.
Dreadnought. It's got to already be a band.
I can't imagine somebody hasn't taken that.
Dreadnought. That's just really cool.
But Slipknot, and I mean, can you
Dreadnought?
You're not gonna let it go, are you?
That's awesome.
Can you give us a demonstration of how Slipknot sound would work on Mighty to Save?
I've never been one that's good at screaming lyrics.
Yeah, so
I can't. You actually have to have the voice for that, and I do not.
Yeah,
I would sound like a little girl trying to do that. It just doesn't come off.
Well, so that everybody knows, basically what it was is a screamo type of worship, and John and I. And we had a very strange next day, by the way. That was the clown parade in Vincennes.
The clownpocalypse hit. That was weird. You try standing in a McDonald's and there's just like clowns around, and then like
20 or 30 clowns waiting for their Big Mac.
It's just weird. You're like drive across town and you see like cars going by, and there's just like a clown in this car, and it's like, what is happening?
And there's a
really large
dog in a clown outfit, and there's a guy and a clown's holding it. Oh man, it's bad. Well, we'll finish this story when we come back. Go and get you a refill, and we'll get beyond Clown Apocalypse, and we'll tell you about the music in just a moment. So go do that, and we'll finish up. Hey, if you want to be a part of the show, connect with us on Twitter at @BAndrewsBand, all lowercase, BANDREWSBAND, or IM us at Facebook by going to B Andrews. That's first name B, B-E, last name Andrews, ANDREWS.
I sing your name. I bring your praise. I sing your name. And I bring.
And we're back for the third and final segment of the B. Andrews Radio Show today. By the way, also would like to let you know that coming up in a moment, we have good news, because this is our good news section. But just finishing up the Clown Apocalypse as we were finishing the next day, it was, the parade is in honor of Red Skelton.
The one they have there in Vincennes.
Yes,
right?
in Vincennes. Yeah. Red Skelton is from Vincennes, Indiana, and so they have a, I think it's around his birthday every year, they have a clown parade.
Like 1,000 clowns in one parade or something
in
like
honor
that.
of him.
It's weird.
So
like, I think we saw a sign for it the day of our concert, which is the day before. And then the next day, it's just like, you get up and you're driving down the road and we're getting ready to leave, and we wanted to stop by McDonald's to grab some breakfast, and it's just like, I think I just saw a clown in the car back there, you know? And so it's like, okay, whatever. And then you see another one, and then you're like,
2 clowns in one day?
I know, that's kind of a high population when there's not a circus anywhere nearby. And then you see another one, and then you're like, something weird's happening. And
yeah, but when we walked into that lobby of that McDonald's, and they're waiting on their big breakfasts and Big Macs and all that.
Next time on The Twilight Zone. I'm not a big fan of clowns, by the way.
But to finish up our last, thing that you might not be a perfect church if you don't have the exact right kind of music that everybody can agree to. So that may mess you up as being a perfect church.
Having clowns at your church might keep you from being a perfect church.
How do you mean that? Anyway, and the big issue that keeps you from being a perfect church is the kind of preacher that you have.
Totally. Yeah.
It all rises and falls on
I mean,
the preacher.
how are you supposed to be fed spiritually if your pastor's just not doing it? I mean, how can you be expected to open up your Bible and read it for yourself
and have God speak to you directly?
Yeah.
No. That's the pastor's church. He's supposed to be God to you.
Yeah, right?
Right?
Something like that.
Yeah. And when this guy is clowning around and telling jokes, I mean, how can he be, feeding, or what if he's too serious all the time? I mean, sometimes, I need to lighten up a little. So I need my preacher to
don't take this too personally.
I need the preacher
You're
to
saying me.
I need the preacher to lighten me up, not light me up. I need him to lighten me up a little bit. Have a little humor, okay?
Let that joke
go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let that joke go.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, if he's like this, or you know what? I mean, what does that dude do all week? I mean, that really gets under my skin, I mean, he only works one day a week. He comes walking out on the platform and stands there for a half an hour. What are we paying that guy for?
Yeah.
It gets he doesn't, we all know preachers.
No, you hope he comes out and keeps his sermon to a half an hour.
Oh, that is the other problem.
You probably, they wouldn't care about paying you if you kept your sermon to a half an hour.
Maybe. I mean, there's one guy that comes out and he keeps reiterating all of his points like 3 times. What does he want me to do? Remember him?
Wow.
Oh, or I see him out and about, and I'll tell you what, I've watched the way this guy lives. And he doesn't live anything like what he preaches on Sunday.
Well, then you'd actually have a reason to complain.
Oh, dude's just a great big phony. Or how come when he preaches, everything's about him? Him. He talks about himself. He want to talk about me, want to talk about I, want to, it's just, that's all that we ever hear about is him. Even though he preferences it every time by saying,
Prefaces.
I don't know about you. I can only talk about me. So this happened in my life. I don't care. I want him to talk about me just a little bit.
Settle down.
All right.
Simmer down.
And last but not least, that guy runs the church like a dictator. I know it went through your mind.
No, you don't.
And don't go there. But anyway, it's just an iron fist. I mean, he doesn't let anybody do anything. I mean, man, we wanted to turn on the water spigot in the back and just get a drink out of it, and we had to call up the pastor and have him come and undo the water. I mean, just because the kids in the neighborhood left it on and they ran for like 2 days and nobody caught it, I mean, who cares? I mean, it was just a little bit of water, right? Did that sound too personal?
That sounded like that happened. Sounds like that might actually be a thing.
It was a thing. I should move on. He is such a dictator, and I bet he's got a board he has to work through. No, they're all a bunch of yes men. That's what it is. He's got him just saying whatever he wants. Come on, folks. Listen, there is no such thing as a perfect church. That's the point. And I just want to let everybody know out there in just a minute, if you're looking for a perfect church, or if you're waiting for a perfect church, if you've ever used any one of these examples, this is going to sound a little harsh on my part, but all you're doing is coming up with excuses. That's the bottom line. Because there is no such thing as a perfect church. And if you want to find a problem with any church, you can absolutely find it. But churches are imperfect because it's filled with a bunch of imperfect people. When's the last time that your family was actually perfect altogether? Nobody having a little misunderstanding here or there. Nobody kind of speaking out of turn with a cousin or somebody over here and felt like it was behind. Everybody's on the same page and all is bliss. Would it have been when you gathered together for 15 minutes around the Christmas tree just a few weeks ago?
And it lasted about 15 minutes.
And it lasted about 15 minutes? Yeah. Church is the same way. There are brothers and sisters, people of our community that we share with together. We are not perfect. None of us are. But what it's all about is coming together and willingly forgive, love, and work together for the common goal of Jesus Christ. And with that, that's why we talk about good news.
Well, it's time for a little good news. Let the sun shine through for me and you with some good news. Okay, our good news today is actually from Reader's Digest. It is a teenage girl voluntarily went into a septic tank to save a little boy. That sounds like a nightmare.
You rank that right up there with clowns, don't you?
Yes. Now, if there was clowns in the septic tank.
Oh!
Worst thing ever. Okay. Madison Williams was studying in her bedroom in Dublin, Ohio in August 2016 when the door burst open. It was her mother, Leah Williams, with a horrific and incredible story. A little boy fell into a septic tank and no one can reach him. Then she made this request of her 13-year-old daughter. Can you help? Madison and Leigh ran into a neighbor's yard where they found the boy's distraught mother and other frantic adults surrounding a septic opening that protruded a few inches above the neatly trimmed lawn. It was 11 inches in diameter, slightly wider than a basketball, with a hatch that had not been secured. The boy, who was only 2 years old, had slipped in and was drowning in 4 feet of sewage inside a tank that was 8 feet deep. The men and women, who minutes earlier had been enjoying a party in a nearby home when they heard the boy's mother scream, were dropping extension cords into the sludge, hoping the child would grab hold so they could pull him out. Madison quickly surveyed the situation. She was the only one who could fit through the small hole. Without hesitation, she got on her stomach next to the opening, placed her arms out in front of her, and told the adults, "Lower me in." Lay and others held her waist and legs. I wiggled my arms and shoulders until I got through the opening, Madison says. Inside, the tank was dark and the air putrid. Madison thrust her arms into the muck. In the process, she jammed her left wrist against a concealed pole, injuring the muscles in her wrist and arms so severely that the hand was rendered useless. Rather than tend her injury, Madison skimmed the surface of the sewage, hoping to feel the submerged boy. Every once in a while, I'd see his little toes pop out of the water, she says. Then I would try to grab them. Minutes ticked by before she saw the faint outline of his foot again. Madison shot her good hand out and grasped the foot tightly. "Pull me up," she shouted to the others above. As they pulled to the surface, the boy's free foot got stuck under the inside lip of the latch. "Lower me down," she yelled. I had to wiggle his foot until it was free, she tells Reader's Digest. Then, 10 minutes after Madison had entered the tank, she and the boy were lifted out. But the toddler wasn't out of trouble. He had been deprived of oxygen long enough that he wasn't breathing. He was placed on his side, and an adult gave him several hard whacks on the back, one right after the other, until the boy coughed up fluids. It was only when Madison heard him cry that she knew he was all right. It took Madison longer to recover than the boy, who was taken to the hospital and released that same night. She, however, endured months of physical therapy for her wrist, which, says neighbor Mary Holly, made the girl's actions all the more impressive. "Madison's a hero," Holly said. "What other teenage girl is going to voluntarily go into a septic tank?"
That's the thing that caught me in the story right at the beginning. 13 years old, I thought I heard you say. And congratulations, Madison. You thought about somebody else before you thought about yourself. And she voluntarily said, "Lower me in." That, wow, because I know a lot of people would freeze and freak. First off, those septic systems, they're dark. And there's no way that she's going to see in there. And so if you got a fear of enclosed...
She could barely even see the outline of his foot.
Yeah, and so you have enclosed dark spot, and then as soon as that hits your nose, your brain says, "I don't want to be in this," because you realize that you're talking about fecal matter.
Yeah, there's a picture of her, how slender she is, and even she had to wiggle to get down the tube. So, I mean, you're talking about claustrophobia, just that, and not only that, you're talking about claustrophobia upside down. So if someone had...
Because they lowered her in by the ankles?
Yeah, so if she had slipped, she would have went straight down in that.
Yeah.
There'd be no way to get back out.
Yeah, so her faith was totally in the people had her ankles, and in 10 minutes,
10 minutes down there,
the whole ordeal. But it was that she instantly overcame any fear of saying, "I can't do this," and she said, "Lower me down." Wow, that is encouraging. That's some good news. And let me turn it around and put that to our people out there that are listening to this show today. And not just in the case of an emergency. I realize in a case of an emergency, it might be just a little bit simpler to just overcome it and say, "Let's just do this," and you throw everything out the window. But, in your community, in your family, there might be some things that you get a little bit longer to think about. It's not an emergency situation, but it becomes necessary. It may be helping a neighbor. It may be doing something for a family member, but that it's going to end up being long term. It could be anything like that, or it can be emergency. But you look at the situation and you've got to come to that conclusion. What's the right thing to do? And we can all of a sudden pile up all the reasons why we can't. And the reasons why you can may be way shorter than all the reasons why you shouldn't. But that's not what determines what's right or wrong. And what's right is what you should do. In this case, it saved a young boy's life. Who knows what in your life that situation may do when you just may have to say and stop. And even though it's piled up against you and you can see this is going to be long term, it's not going to be short term or whatever the situation, but you can say, "Okay, I'm going in. I'm going to do this." So if you can, let's do what we can in order to change the people's lives round about us and make that decision to make our communities better. Commitment is a huge thing, folks. Let's be committed to what we say we're going to do. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Hope you catch the B. Andrews Radio Show then. Also, would like to remind you about the BRDT, and we'll see you next time. Bye.